Welcome to Smash Fiction, where we pit two or more fictional characters against each other in a battle of twirling, sequins, and barely contained sexual tension, and see who gets the gold. This week, Yuri on Ice versus Blades of Glory. Ladies, gentlemen, and those beyond the binary, welcome, one and all, to the 6th annual Vladimir Duran World Figure Skating Championship. Named, of course, for famed illustrator and ice skating pioneer Vladimir Duran, who created the largest single illustration in human history when he used ice skates to create a 389-mile-long image of Chitara from Thundercats in the frozen surface of Russia's Lake Baikal. This tournament is designed to spotlight the greatest artistry, skill, precision, and passion in the world of figure skating today. Thousands of the world's greatest figure skaters have competed in dozens of cities across the globe for the honor of making it to the finals. Little by little, the field narrowed as more and more competitors were eliminated. Now, after months of globe-trotting, grueling competition, we have here two pairs of skaters representing the absolute best in their field, and they will be competing here today to determine who will be taking home the coveted Golden Blades. And that cheer from the crowd can only mean that the first of our two teams here today has entered the rink, and they are truly a team to be reckoned with. Delicate snowflower Jimmy MacElroy and ice-devouring sex tornado Chazz Michaels both hail from the United States and had exceptionally successful, if mutually antagonistic, careers on the ice before recently becoming partners. Their different skill sets, ambitious performance choreography, and years of combined experience make them a formidable force. They are the Blades of Glory. But their opponents have also made their way to the rink, and it's clear from the crowd that there are a great many fans who have shown up to support them instead. This is a bit of an odd couple. 23-year-old Yuri Katsuki from Japan and 15-year-old Yuri Plisetsky from Russia came together recently at the urging of their mutual coach, Viktor Nikiforov. Despite their youth, both competitors are prodigiously skilled and scored second and first respectively at the most recent Grand Prix of figure skating final. But the promise of the Golden Blades was enough for them to take to the ice again as Yuri's on ice. The crowd's cheers simmer into excited murmurings of anticipation as both teams take up their positions at opposite sides of the rink. Each skater will perform a 4.5-minute free skating program. Then, they will join with their respective partners and perform a pair skating program. This will be a grueling test of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. That's right, the competitors will be judged on their entire character sheets. Min-maxers beware. Which team will find themselves lifted into the dizzying heights of victory, and which will find themselves caught in a death spiral of defeat? That's up to our panel of international judges. I'm now being told that, due to the entirely fictional nature of this match, none of the Olympic figure skating judges we invited have shown up. Real professional, guys! Well...
Are we even allowed to say that word? Or are we going to get sued?
Well, I guess that means that I, Dan Mulcairn, will have to be your judge this week, because apparently the Ukrainian figure skating judge just had something more important to do than talk about fake ice skaters. Advocating for Yuri Katsuki and Yuri Plisetsky from Yuri on Ice are Meganbob.
I can't let Victor down. I must embody Eros and win over the judge. I'm going to become a beautiful pork cutlet bowl. I am a pork cutlet bowl fatale that enthralls men.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
And Kit Mulcairn.
Skaters' hearts are as fragile as glass. If their hearts are so fragile... Bob, let's shatter Chazz and Jimmy's into fucking pieces.
Aww.
Advocating for Chazz Michaels and Jimmy MacElroy from Blades of Glory are Claire Mulcairn.
They laughed at Imhotep when he said he was going to move the moon. Now their laughs are powering Monstropolis, and he's out of a job.
Wow.
And our special guest this week, Brad Bultman.
Maxim, latest issue. Claire Mulcairn and Brad Bultman are Smash Fiction. Boom!
Nice. I think I saw that issue.
In my bathroom.
In order to determine who goes first, I decided to test the advocates' creativity and had them coach one of the curling teams at the 2018 Winter Olympics in the style of a Disney sports film of their choice. Team Blades of Glory decided to go the route of the Mighty Ducks films, which meant that they quickly dominated their opponents, turning the curling stone on its side and slapping it down the court, brushing the ice in a V formation, and in one particularly memorable moment, using a lariat to rope the opposing team's captain. Everything was delicious chaos in their favor, until Team Yuri on Ice decided to pull from the movie Air Bud. They observed that, just as there ain't no rule says a dog can't play basketball, there most certainly isn't a rule saying that you can't summon Godzilla and then claim the gold medal from the radioactive remains of the stadium. So, for my own safety, as there isn't a rule saying that you can't direct your summoned Godzilla to attack a Smash Fiction judge who denies you the initiative in a match, I have determined that Team Yuri will be going first, followed by Team Blades.
How do you not make that rule? That's the first rule.
Team Yuri, play your cards right, and maybe you'll get a controversial scene with me where it's extremely unclear whether we actually kissed.
Dan and I have never actually kissed yet, so this is very exciting.
At least not on screen. It's all subtext.
Real talk, I was excited to do this match because of all the hype surrounding Yuri on Ice. And then I started watching it and was like, that's a sports anime, all right. Not really my thing. Then a few episodes in, I was invested. I was learning actual figure skating terminology. I learned to appreciate figure skating as something more than what Russian grandmothers watch. I say that from experience. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Yuri Katsuki and Yuri Plisetsky in paired skating together in Yuri on Ice, so all I can do is analyze their boss ice carving skills as solo skaters. Bob's got the relationship angle covered, like she do. So, more on that later. Yuri Pork Cutlet Bowl Katsuki has had a passion for skating and ballet from a very young age, and though he's struggled with anxiety during competitions in the past, his new coach and life partner? Viktor Nikiforov helped him work through that and then some. Before Katsuki was blessed enough to even have a figure skating living legend for a coach, he was already incredible despite his self-esteem. Poor little Katsuki didn't really have any friends growing up, and every time he was anxious, he'd just go practice skating. Practicing is his jam. Once he realized what he needed to nail in the short program choreographed by Victor, he practiced at a ballet studio all night. Like, no sleep, and he crushed that short program. He crushed it so hard his opponent, Yuri Plisetsky, didn't even need to finish watching to know Katsuki had beaten him. Katsuki has drive, and Katsuki has stamina. So impressive is his stamina, it's talked about multiple times in the series. During practice with Victor, Katsuki had just done 13 jumps, and Victor was huffing and puffing tired like a normal human being. Victor, who won 5 straight world championships, 5 straight Grand Prix finals, and numerous European championships. That dude was tired, and Katsuki wasn't. Because of this, yeah, I'm gonna say it, godlike stamina, Katsuki is able to place more jumps in the latter half of his programs, thus gaining him way more points due to this increase in difficulty. We see him go for the highest technical difficulties, conquer them, and ultimately break Victor's record. His partner for this match, Yuri, the Ice Tiger of Russia, Plisetsky, is even more fearsome. A kitten he may be, only 16 and having only just entered the senior circuit after utterly dominating the junior circuit, Plisetsky used his inexhaustible determination to defeat Katsuki and make a place for himself in the figure skating world outside of Victor's shadow. One look at these blades of glory chucklefucks, and Plisetsky would sell his soul to the devil if it meant crushing them utterly. He's a little intense, just like me, and very liberal with his kicks. Definitely a practitioner of cat judo. From an early age, Plisetsky was a driven risk-taker whose risks would actually pay off. At 12, he landed a quadruple salchow despite being scolded by his coach who claimed he was too young for difficult jumps. But his jumps cannot be contained, because his stamina rivals that of even Katsuki. In his short program in free skate, the vast majority of his jumps are planned for the latter half, just like his partner. But where he surpasses his fellow Yuri, and most male figure skaters, is in his flexibility. He's shown being able to hold spirals and spins with his arms up, upping the difficulty and point gain, and pulling off positions like the half Bielman, which, for those in our audience who don't know figure skating positions by name, I understand. This move essentially warps the skater's body into a teardrop shape, both beautiful but borderline Junji Ito levels of horrifying. Ice ballet ain't nothing to fuck with. Anyway, this kid took home the gold at his senior debut on the professional Grand Prix circuit. And he only beat Katsuki by 0.12 points. They are basically equals, and their individual strengths will cover for their partner's weaknesses. After all, despite Plisetsky's dickhole attitude toward Katsuki at the beginning, he still chose to help Katsuki learn how to properly land a quad salchow. Plisetsky helped create a worthy rival for himself and a worthy partner for this match. I seriously hope we get to see some Katsuki-Plisetsky paired skating in Season 2 because I can't even fathom the records they'll help each other break. As for Chazz and Jimmy, well, I just hope their costumes look good with silver.
So spicy. The pork cutlet bowl and pork piroshki of ice skating, Yuri Katsuki and Yuri Plisetsky, are everything that a team needs for success and deliciousness. Even in the final episode with competitive stakes at their highest, Plisetsky says about Katsuki, "I want to see him skate with no mistakes. Don't disappoint me." Plisetsky respects and craves the competition that Katsuki brings into his life. It's what makes him dead set on winning the Barcelona Grand Prix, specifically so that Katsuki won't retire. Plisetsky might be a prickly little Russian hedgehog, but he fights for what he cares about. On top of professional respect for one another, they have a bizarre friendship in which Katsuki supports Plisetsky, believing in him and cheering him on in episodes throughout the show. Plisetsky also cheers on Katsuki at the Rostelecom Cup, telling him to stay strong. In episode 9, Plisetsky even brings Katsuki a bag of pork piroshki made by his grandfather as an early birthday present. That is the true meaning of friendship, guys. Even when competing for Victor's coaching attentions, they still find a way to work together. Like when Plisetsky takes the time to teach Katsuki how to land a quadruple salchow. In their performance, Yuri Katsuki will be the sun, the warm, welcoming, and huggy support that gives life to the performance. Yuri Plisetsky will be the moon, the stark contrast and luminous intensity that draws eyes wherever he moves. When Plisetsky and Katsuki step onto the ice, the only thing you have to wonder is how long will I be holding my breath with wonder. When Chazz and Jimmy step out onto the ice, you're forced to worry about whether or not a live dove will be pulled from a suit, or will a mascot be set aflame, or will one of them break a leg. They're older than the usual figure skater and way less, shall we say, spry. Because running over a single plastic pearl with an ice skate should not break anyone's ankle. I don't care how old Chazz is, an ankle should be able to handle a small object breaking under you. Apparently, his body is held together with biscuits and mistakes. Liable to crumble at any time. Sure, Jimmy managed to save the Flying Lotus from disaster in this one case, this one-time situation where they are fighting to return to the sport and be taken seriously. They rise to the occasion. They won't be in that situation this time. They rise to the occasion against a 2-bit sibling team, and that's kind of it. They'll have real competition this time. Chazz and Jimmy's main competition in life, besides team incest on ice, has been one another, and then the need to find a way back to the, quote, cruel bitch mother that is figure skating. Nothing indicates that they can continue past this achievement or that they can maintain working together. When their entire sporting life is on the line, they will make an effort. Not a good effort, but an effort. For example, when they publicly skate together as Fire and Ice, Chazz throws Jimmy into a wall. No misstep in competition by Plisetsky or Katsuki comes close to throwing your partner into a fucking wall. Even during low-stakes practice, Chazz takes a heel to the crotch. Jimmy takes a heel to the crotch. One of them ends up sliding on the ice in bare feet. Don't do that at home. The other slides across the ice on his bare chest, which you should definitely not do at home. This is the kind of impulse control that does not bode well for easily broken old man bodies. On top of that, neither of them has ever taken their competition seriously. They don't even take one another seriously as competition, which is fine when the only 4 people in the sport are Will Ferrell, John Heder, Will Arnett, and Amy Poehler. On top of all this delicately balanced pile of shit is the fact that Chazz is a loose cannon. The type of loose cannon who is happy to drink before performance, even paid performances as he does at Grublets on Ice. He's even lost competitions while on drugs. He tells Jimmy, "Hey, I was on Quaaludes. I don't even remember Oslo." Generally, these sports competitions of the world are concerned with people avoiding performance-enhancing drugs. But there's nothing in the rules that says a man full of methaqualone can't skate. He'll lose, but yeah, he's allowed out there. Forget worrying about whether or not these guys can win a competition. There's reason to be concerned that one or both of them will leave the ice in a body bag. As individual skaters, Plisetsky and Katsuki work hard, something the other team is perhaps less familiar with. They each are good enough to attract the attention of Viktor Nikiforov, a record-holding skate prince who is to ice skating what elves are to Lord of the Rings. Ineffable and majestic. Each of them competes at high levels against extraordinarily talented, hard-working skaters that have been training from childhood with coaches who have themselves been raised in the sport. They care. They genuinely and wholeheartedly care about the art and technical skill of what they are doing, and it shows. Even in the most intense moments of competition, their internal monologues are about being the best skater that they are capable of being. Not about how much they want to show off or how much they want someone else to lose. That is the focus of a true athlete and performer. They are young and hungry to achieve their dreams of gold medals. Also, a little bit hungry for pork.
And Team Yuri lands the final quad toe loop with perfection. Exquisitely done, my little pork cutlets.
Yeah!
But we'd better break out the Zamboni, because Team Blades is looking to Zambone down on these opening arguments.
Oh, God.
Your Honor, Webster's defines excellence as, quote, super awesome. The best of all time. Totally bitchin'. Like so rad your head would explode if you ever saw it. But excellence has another definition. Jimmy MacElroy and Chazz Michaels. MacElroy and Michaels don't just piss excellence, they breathe it in with every bone in their body. I may be a simple country advocate, but even I know excellence when I see it. Michaels and MacElroy begin Blades of Glory by winning Olympic gold in Stockholm in men's singles. Michaels and MacElroy end Blades of Glory by winning gold in Montreal in pairs skating. And if you even think that those teeny bopper Yuris stand a chance against them in this competition, then you are crazier than a Canadian loon. Exhibit A, Chazz Michaels, is described in the film as, quote, an instant classic, sex on ice. The only skater to win 4 national championships and an adult film award. A tsunami of swagger. Michaels uses everything at his disposal. He's skating's leather-clad Lothario, and he made his name in Detroit's underground sewer skating scene. This rough upbringing means Michaels is resilient. He escapes being kidnapped at gunpoint, swimming under the ice, breaking through the ice with his own skate. He then completely changes his clothes and recovers from hypothermia in less than 2 seconds, zip lines down to the rink, and goes on to win the gold. He has the speed, the strength, the stamina, and the stupefying sex appeal to win over audience and judges alike. He has been to at least 4 Olympic Games and taken gold numerous times. He's like if a sexed-up panther and a volcano had a baby. And they taught that baby to ice skate. You better hope Yuri doesn't watch Chazz's routine, because I guarantee you he is getting a nosebleed in the moment and having anxiety about it later. In his opening routine, Chazz receives a perfect 6 as a score, but is not satisfied with mere perfection. No, Chazz is never satisfied. It's a curse. Chazz not only perfects ice skating, he reinvents it. He works dynamically and creatively, improvising routines and inventing moves that redefine the sport. He owns the ice and commands it to do his bidding. Chazz Michaels is a wildfire married to the ice, but gloriously unchained. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Exhibit B, the golden boy of skating, Jimmy MacElroy. Skating's little orphan awesome showed skating skill as early as age 4 when he was adopted by billionaire champion maker Darren MacElroy. He was given the finest training and equipment money could buy and developed into a, quote, uber skater. This includes a scene where we see him surrounded by a bunch of guys in lab coats, one of whom injects him with, something. Super soldier serum? I didn't say that. Those are your words, not mine. Whatever the case, Jimmy MacElroy skates with elegance, grace, and machine-like precision. And Jimmy's training means he doesn't tire out or falter in the face of pain. Jimmy nails every aspect of his opening routine and takes a perfect 6.0 from the judges. That's because watching Jimmy skate is like watching the sunrise over the Taj Mahal, or witnessing the blossom of the rare Sri Lankan kadupi flower. It's like watching 2 glorious peacocks making love on the ice. But it's when Chazz's red-hot fire and Jimmy's beautiful glistening ice come together that the two shine brightest. Esteemed judge and beautiful members of the very fetching jury, Exhibit C. After training with Jimmy's coach Robert for only a couple of months, Jimmy and Chazz are able to pull off the Iron Lotus, a move thought to be humanly impossible and so dangerous that it meant certain death for any pair that tried it. Robert took his move to the only place in the world that would let him try it, North Korea, and it did result in the beheading of the woman who attempted it. Michaels and MacElroy are able to not only pull off this move, but switch positions during their routine when Chazz breaks his ankle. Just to clarify, Michaels and MacElroy are able to pull off a move that is humanly impossible, that no one has ever completed in conditions they have never practiced while Chazz has a broken ankle. Not to mention wire-fu chest bumps 15 feet in the air, actual flips, one-handed lifts, inverted double cartwheels, colliding skates during simultaneous spins to create showers of sparks, and flying. The world record for a pair skating score is 118.54. Michaels and MacElroy score 154.28. Your glorious, infallible judgeship, ladies and gentlemen of the entirely too sexy and hopefully single jury, looking at you, Juror 7, I rest my case.
All right, so first up, from Team Yuri, we have Yuri Katsuki, a tangled web of various fears, anxieties, and other mental health issues that can make a man who once drunkenly threw up inside of a papier-mâché wizard head look well-balanced by comparison. Out of the 4 skaters competing in the match today, Yuri is by far the most inconsistent. One of the reasons why Yuri on Ice is such a compelling series is because whenever Yuri competes, you never know how it's going to go. Will he channel his inner pork cutlet this time, or will he get distracted by some painful memory or some sideways glance from someone in the audience and completely shit the bed? It certainly makes for compelling drama, but it doesn't make for someone that I would want to be partnered up with if I had my sights on winning the gold. In pretty much every routine that Yuri skates all throughout the series, he messes up at least one jump, sometimes more, and whenever we get to hear his inner monologue when he is skating, he's pretty much always a complete nervous wreck, thinking about what has just happened in the past or what will happen in the future, but he's rarely able to just turn off his mind and skate. And unfortunately for Yuri and for all of us, anxiety is not just something that you magically get over one day. If it's in you, you kind of have to learn to live with it. Like with many psychological issues, you can get better over time, but you have to accept the fact that you're probably still going to have some good days and some bad days. And Yuri may have had a good day during the Grand Prix at the end of Yuri on Ice, but not for a minute do I believe that he will never have another anxiety attack on the ice again. And partnered up with him, most likely currently acting broody and wearing a hoodie that doesn't actually rhyme. It rhymes when it's written, but it doesn't when you say it. Turns out. I just discovered that.
Those 2 words should definitely rhyme.
We have Yurio, a shitty 15, or apparently according to Kit, 16-year-old alpha male who has yet to discover that other people in the world actually exist and have feelings. A highly technically proficient skater for his age, to be sure, but unfortunately that's pretty much the only positive thing that you can say about this tiny incarnation of pure hatred. He does not know how to work well with others, and out of all the skaters we see in Yuri on Ice, he's probably the least creative and least charming performer that we see. The short program that he skates throughout the series is choreographed to the song On Love, Agape. Agape, in this case, refers to a universal and transcendental love. But in one competition, while Yurio is skating to this routine, he admits to himself in a voiceover monologue, "I'm too busy trying to skate the program to think about agape at all." In the final routine of the series, when Yurio gets the world record for the short skate, he doesn't do so by learning how to get better at presentation, by learning how to channel that feeling that is agape. He does so by cramming more and more high-risk tricks into his routine that are beyond his skill level and beyond what it is safe for his body to be doing. At the end of the routine, he collapses and starts crying from pain and exhaustion. There's only so much that a body can do, and trying to continue achieving success through only technical skill and not through beauty leads not only diminishing returns in terms of how much effort is required to reach the next level, but it also leads to a greater risk of messing up a trick, injuring your partner, or injuring yourself. Will Yurio ever get over his many flaws? Maybe someday, but you have to remember, this kid is 15/16. MacElroy is 26 at the start of Blades of Glory, and Michaels is most likely in the 35 and above category, but Yurio is still probably a decade away from not being a complete and total testosterone-soaked shit to everyone around him if he doesn't become a CEO or a serial killer first. And when it comes to how they're going to skate together, unfortunately, there's not a lot that can be said here because they never actually get a chance to do that in the show. But if I had to speculate, I'd say that it would be an unmitigated disaster, especially if Victor's coaching them, because, I mean, he's a good skater and he came up with a good routine. But throughout the course of Yuri on Ice, he seems to spend a lot more time hitting on Yuri than offering him any sort of really useful coaching. And when it comes to interacting with pretty much everyone, he has a tendency to be a bull in other people's emotions shop, often saying and doing things that make other people uncomfortable or outright hate him, and he doesn't seem to notice. Never has there been a person who is worse at reading the room, a skill which, when coaching arch rivals, is paramount. Yuri on Ice ends after the Grand Prix finals with Yuri going down the line and hugging every other skater that he has competed with, and when he finally tries to hug Yurio runs away from him and they have a brief Looney Tunes style chase. It's played for laughs, because we know that although Yuri can set aside his differences with every other skater, it would be ridiculous and unearned for these two to reconcile their differences. In Blades of Glory, the main obstacle that Michaels and MacElroy have to face is not that they are not good enough at figure skating. It's that they're not allowed to figure skate, because of course they are good enough. Whenever either one of them, or God forbid both of them, are on the ice, they always win the gold. Before Michaels and MacElroy joined pairs skating, the two best pair skaters in the world were Strauns and Fairchild Van Waldenberg. But once they learned that Michaels and MacElroy have started competing, they immediately lose their shit and start cheating to try to get them kicked out. These two, previously the best in the world, realize they have no freaking chance against our boys. It's a foregone conclusion that Chazz and Jimmy will win unless sabotaged. And then they do win, despite being kidnapped and sabotaged. The Yuris can't even handle being photographed.
My heart rate, yo? Oh my god. Oh my god, Bob, hold me back. Oh my god.
No, I have to release you like a beautiful ice tiger.
I fucking oh boy.
Go! Make the ice red.
Well, hang
Let's
on.
go.
I need to
Break it up.
segue first, you monsters. Team Blades, such perfect form, such daring techniques, such unnecessary gay panic. Truly a performance for the ages.
Checks out.
But that's it for the solo performances. Now, it's time for us to get really up close and personal with some pairs rebuttals. Team Yuri, you only live once. You better make history.
Pizda. I'm gonna oh
Sorry,
my god.
no. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Dan, hold my earrings.
Okay,
over here.
Kit, do whatever it is you have to do, and I'll just I'll come and support you.
I gotta at least back my fellow Russian here, all right?
Yeah.
You're fucking criticizing Plisetsky for pushing himself to gold when you've got Chazz and Jimmy hurting each other during practice and also on the rink.
Ice ballet hurts. That's how life is.
Yuri is pushing himself to the limit of his capability. With Chazz and with Jimmy, we never see them being pushed to their capability. Even when they're injured, that's just like a day in the life for them.
Right.
How is that not a day in the life for them, for like the Yuris?
The only time that we see them having any sort of like injury or botch is that one time, the first time they're skating together in a competition, when he gets thrown into the wall. Jimmy actually says after that he's never fallen before in a competition. We get the sense that this is not normal. They mess up one time because it's their first time skating together in a competition and they're not familiar with it.
Okay, falling is not the same thing as not landing your jumps properly.
It wasn't a jump, it was a throw. And also, Yuri has fallen and smashed his face on the wall, too.
Not because they were doing some sort of thing where they had said, yes, we were absolutely going to come and crush this. And then they had practiced it and then gone out there and fucked up their one chance. You said that they don't push themselves. You're right. They don't push themselves. They don't seem to care enough.
They don't have to care. They've never been challenged. We don't know their upper limit.
Right.
This
what we're
is
saying
exactly the point. They've never been challenged. They've never had anybody else who presented even the mildest threat to them because the only other people in the show are like nobodies.
There are actual figure skaters that make cameos in the movie. They get name checked a lot, actually. Do you remember some of them?
There's Brian Boitano, Nancy Kerrigan.
Right. So
they're
that's
not
showing
skating, though.
That's showing that all of those figure skaters that exist in the real world also exist within the world of Blades of Glory, and they are the best in the real world. So we can say that they are heads and shoulders way better than all real world skaters. And if you compare the points that Yuri gets, he's basically like, his best record is like 1 point above the actual world record for skating. But Chazz and Jimmy are like, 20 points above the actual world records for skating.
Plisetsky's short program score in the Barcelona Grand Prix final exceeded the real life world record by 8 points.
Yeah, that's not 20 points, though. 8 is less than 20.
Yeah, you're right, because they didn't do an imaginary move that doesn't exist.
Yes,
But
yes,
sure,
they're right.
sure.
Yes, the sport. Yes.
I mean, yeah, let's scale it that way. But
Can we
okay,
just talk about how many illegal moves they do in the movie and how ridiculous
they
it is to
become
compare them
legal
to like
because they
it is a
perform
weird
them.
thing because at one point, in terms of technical stuff, in Chazz's first performance by himself, he does, I think, 2 jumps And that is not enough to score any of the points.
Apparently it is.
Yeah, seriously.
It
no,
is.
it
We
really
also
isn't.
don't see the full
No,
routine.
there are expectations whenever you do skating. There are actual rules to it.
There's a good amount of editing as well. It's kind of cutting back and forth between like the audience and them, and like you can guess like, oh yeah, it's showing the audience reaction, and right now, oh, he just did like 3 quads and we didn't see it. But
You're right. No, that's totally. They wouldn't show that part because who would want to watch that part?
For him to get those scores that the judges give him, he has to do those jumps. You cannot get those scores without those jumps. So in order for them to get the 2 6.0s that they both get, which by the way, only 55 skaters in Olympic history have gotten 6.0s, and they get 4 of them, for them to get those 6.0s, they would have had to land quads.
Okay, so you're just going to use real world rules when it helps you, but you're going to totally ignore the fact that they do a bunch of things that would get them like negative points.
In the world of Blades and Glory, they are doing all of the real world moves that get them that score and the made up ones that make the movie funny.
Because they exist in the real world and they're surrounded by real skaters, that's what we think is the most logical way to interpret what's going on.
You mentioned Yuri's anxiety and that you think he might have some sort of meltdown on the ice, which as we see in the show, he becomes progressively better and better at not necessarily quieting his inner monologue, but at the very least letting go of it and being nervous and just doing what it takes anyway. So he's obviously improving. But I mean, if we want to talk about meltdowns on the ice, like Chazz is only a drink or, some LSD away from doing something very ill-advised.
Or an uncleaned up plushie on the ice that will shatter his ankle.
Okay, first of all, speaking as someone who is young and spry, who broke their ankle skating, I will have you know that is not a reflection on your health.
But I do want to draw the distinction. You're not an Olympic professional.
It's still the same human frame.
Is it?
This is what a real figure skater's body looks like.
You may not like it, but
Are Olympians human? I don't think they are.
Oh boy, we are saying that word too many times.
And on that note,
I'm going to start bleeping these out when I edit this.
that was a ferocious round of rebuttals from Team Yuri. So, Team Blades, I swear to God, if you cut my head off.
We see in Yuri on Ice a lot more of the actual technical skating, and that's most likely due to the fact that you can animate that, and it's very difficult to find talented actor/body doubles who can do those jumps. So it's difficult for Blades of Glory to do that. However, the narrative still suggests that they're doing those jumps, and more so. In fact, the reason that Michaels and MacElroy are never really challenged is because there's nobody else in the universe that can even come close to them. It reminded me of this old Superman cartoon where he talks about going through the world as if it was made of paper. And the thing that you have to realize about their ability is that it's so far head and shoulders above the other people in their universe that there's no need for them to do anything. Chazz can just improvise on the ice and he can still get a 6.0 because he's that good. That's just how they're living their life. This movie is the most interesting part of their lives when they are challenged, and it's by all external forces.
So, yes, they are incredibly talented, and that does mean that they have never been challenged. But in terms of sports films, that's not how you win a sports film. Like, that's how you lose a sports film, is by being the cocky person who's never been pushed and been allowed to skate by.
So we're going narrative convention, not evidence here. All right, continue.
But they're not trying to do anything beyond that. They're trying to just be the thing they are.
Oh yes, doing the Iron Lotus. That was not them pushing themselves. That was not them trying something new. Oh, of course not, yeah. But like,
not in their singles. In their doubles, I grant you, they do take a stab at some stuff.
For all that you guys say about how good Yuri and Yuri are going to be, the most damning piece of evidence against you guys here is just the fact that you see what scores they get, and we can compare them to real-world skaters, and, like, the scores that our guys get are just better. You can say they're going to challenge them. I don't think they are. I think they're going to get scores on par with normal human skaters who aren't stupid and make no sense. Who have wires making them fly into the air. Yeah, so...
That does also presume that I think the judges are going to like a lot of what they do, and it's certainly the judges in the world of Chazz Michaels and Jimmy MacElroy are very into what they do and have a lot of fondness for them. And they both do a lot of crowd work because of it. But I don't know that that's going to necessarily be the case here. That I feel like they're both coming into some sort of neutral situation in which neither of them necessarily has this weird world-based benefit of, years and years of experience with these judges.
Right, and we do see the difference between the drive of both of all four of the characters when they know what they're up against and how, like, important it is to them. For the Yuris, this is their heart and soul. Whereas with Chazz and Jimmy, when they got kicked out of the ISU,
the fake thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, once they get kicked out of the they don't get to say that anymore. Then they, like, just quit. Like, fucking Chazz works at a children's skating thing, and then Jimmy works at a shoe store?
They don't even coach?
I will give you that for Chazz. I will never, ever give you that for Jimmy. If you want to talk about people who are driven to succeed, who are just like a machine, whatever sort of training regiment Yurio is on, I'm sure that whatever Jimmy's on is way more intense. We see him running on a treadmill with a friggin' tube going down his throat and people in lab coats all around him writing on clipboards from the time that he's like 8 years old.
But what did that do?
What did that do? It let him fly through the air like he's on wires. He got super soldier serum.
Jumping at another skater is an illegal move, but
it won't be great. After they do it.
It just seems weird to me that if skating is everything to him, why didn't he go do something else related to skating? Why did he work in a fucking skate shoe shop?
Also, thanks for giving us Chazz, because it does take two to pair skate.
The other thing, though, is Chazz is competitive. And if he sees that someone's nipping at his heels, he is going to try to, like, show him what he can do. The other thing is, we always see is one scene of him working at a shoe store. That's not evidence that he's not still skating.
There's a scene where they mention that Jimmy got a bunch of lawyers to try to fight the claim, which shows that he was still caring. And this was after Darren unadopted him. So he pulled all of his resources into getting a team of lawyers in order to be allowed to skate again, which shows the drive. And as for Chazz, he does keep skating. He just can't do it in championships anymore because that is the only thing that he cares about and that is the only thing that he likes. And yes, he hits his rock bottom, which is like abusing drugs and alcohol, but that he still skates. He still skates.
And the other thing I would say is that if you remember, his boss says, I would fire you if you weren't so goddamn beautiful out there. Like, he's clearly still doing really well, even when he's at rock bottom.
The guy who runs Grublets on Ice said that.
He's the wizard!
That's a really interesting perspective to have somebody say you're so beautiful out there.
I don't think that's the only thing Chazz cares about. I think that's just, like, the only thing he really knew how to do because he's a worthless piece of shit.
He wrote a book of poems.
Sick burn, Ice Tiger.
Some truly amazing performances here tonight. A landmark in the history of figure skating. But, of course, this is a competition, so the time has come for me to tally up the points. I don't believe it! We have a complete, straight up and down tie! The teams have tied! But the rules of this particular tournament don't allow for a tie. One team has to definitively win. Fortunately, it looks like the tournament's founder Vladimir Duran, before he departed into space in order to turn Pluto into the universe's largest ice sculpture, left behind a contingency plan for just such an occasion. Apparently, in cases like this, the rules call for the lightning round!
Yeah!
Does ice conduct lightning?
Oh, by the way, because we haven't done this yet this episode, ice. That is
Very
all.
good.
Oh shit, I was gonna say ice and I fucking forgot. Thank you, Claire.
Yep.
The contestants have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are all true masters in their chosen sport. But just how deep do their connections to each other go? When put into a new and unfamiliar situation where they can only rely on each other, which pair will prove to be stronger? In order to answer this question, the contestants will be working in pairs as detectives in San Francisco's 42nd District. This multicultural neighborhood has seen its fair share of crime, from larceny, murder, and drug trafficking, to vandalism, insurance fraud, and the occasional technology-based supervillain. It will be your job to clean up this district, a task which not only involves solving crimes and putting the perpetrators behind bars, but also making a connection to the people in your community, helping them to make their neighborhood a better place. Tell me why, at the end of 6 months, San Francisco's 42nd will be naming a youth center after you instead of your opponents. Team Yuri on Ice went first in the main round, so Team Blades of Glory will go first in the lightning round.
All right, so I think the first thing that they're definitely going to do is Chazz is going to lead the way and Jimmy's going to follow along, and the two of them together are going to infiltrate Point Break style San Francisco's illegal sewer skating scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, Chazz is super good at seducing people with all that raw sexuality. He's probably going to get involved in a torrid love affair with the leader of the sewer gang, who then he maybe can't bring himself to arrest at the very end, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's experience with billionaires is and since he's just so devastatingly pretty, he's gonna infiltrate kind of the upper class crime levels, and he's gonna be able to influence things on a very high level and figure out what's going on. He'll especially be able to figure out when somebody is a little iffy because he's got great attention to detail, as you see in the skate store scene.
I think that he's actually probably going to hang around a really ritzy bar wearing something a little slutty and hope to get picked up by some rich billionaires, and he could work his way in as a sort of trophy wife type thing. He can work the sex appeal. So,
and they're both gonna come up with really awesome fake names.
Oh yeah.
Chazz is gonna be Klaus Vanderbilt or something. Just gonna completely reinvent his persona and go really deep into character.
It's really hard to come up with names more ridiculous than the ones that they already have. I've been trying to think of a couple, but I was thinking Skip something for Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy's a Skip, yeah. I love it.
Also, the other place that he might be able to get some traction is he was an orphan for a while, so he can probably break in with the street urchins and chimney sweeps that are of course running around San Francisco doing and panhandling and stuff. So he can figure out he's got that whole angle. So I believe, let's see, underground sewer skating, rich white collar crime, orphan panhandling, chimney sweep, crime racket. I think that's all of the big crimes, right?
So, those are the main ones that are the problem.
Cool it, Team Blades. You're a loose cannon. Team Yuri on ice. I want those reports on my desk yesterday.
Oh my god. Well, Bob and I are going very different directions, but that's fine because, if that's not Katsuki and Plisetsky, I don't know what is. So.
I want to hear all of it. I feel like it can all, I think we're going to make a circle at the end of this.
Yes. Okay, so obviously, my sweet little Russian kitten, angry little kitten, he's got street smarts. See the little hoodies he wears? He's a little punk. He is definitely gonna give the bad cop vibes to Katsuki's good cop vibes, and they're gonna get shit done. By the way, they're also both multilingual, if it isn't so obvious in the show. So they're gonna be able to interview a lot more people. They can also maybe infiltrate some Yakuza. I don't know. I think
that's a high risk maneuver.
I know. And some Russian mob. Hey.
Oh boy.
They're good. They're manipulative.
Those poor sweet boys.
They're just going to assume that Yurio is part of the Russian mob anyway. They're going to see that scowl on his face and be like, oh, no, he's already... Is he from another city? Oh, he's a transfer mob member.
Yeah,
he's part of our mob exchange program. Oh, we want to get diversity. Sorry.
It's good for young mobsters to have worldly experiences before they, go out in the big wide world.
So, and also, Yurio's going to give one look to villains, and just their confidence is going to be crushed. It's I don't care what adults say. Whenever a 16-year-old looks at you like you're a dumb piece of shit, you do feel pretty bad. No matter how old you are, you're oh, I'm not cool. So, one half of, all crime stuff is prevention. And prevention has a lot less to do with just putting bars on windows and stuff than it does with creating community and making people have resources and investment in the place that they live. And the best way you can do that is to feed people. People are like birds. You just put food out and then they want to come hang out and be your friend. So, community kitchens.
Vkusna!
A lot of food, sort of community cooking classes, that kind of stuff. Obviously they can't also let people know that it's kind of a cop-based program because then they might scare some people off. But it's going to be a lot of pork-based stuff mainly. But, also probably some other things. Cabbage.
Oh, so many beets. All of the sour cream. Also.
Oh, God. Sour cream's so good. Oh, my God. At one point, they're going to do a week-long project where they take milk and they make it into sour cream. They're here's the process of doing it. And then they sell it at the farmer's market that they start because they turn the neighborhood, they turn it into a thriving, beautiful place that's not gentrified, but the people who live there are very happy. And also, Victor drives them around in a car shaped like an ice skate.
Because he fucking can.
Very subtle.
Hey, Bob, I have a suggestion for what that program is called. It's called Sour Crime. They make crime go sour.
I mean, they do, but they can't. That's what they put on the files, but they don't tell people that's what it's called.
See what I mean?
I just love the image of like a Yakuza member like eating a pork cutlet bowl and then giving Yuri a big hug, like, I'm reformed!
Dude, we've all eaten food where we were like, I feel like a nicer person after eating this.
Well, if there's one thing I know less about than detective work, it's figure skating. So I'm going to need a couple of minutes to go piece this one together. You guys go sit in the kiss and cry while I leap and twirl my way towards some kind of verdict.
Hey guys, how was watching stuff for the match?
Awesome.
Oh, Yuri on Ice is so good. I didn't want to hurt it at all.
Had you
It's
seen
so
it before?
beautiful.
Had anybody seen it before? Because I hadn't.
Nope.
I'm sort of familiar with it a little bit through like a few people I know and stuff like that, and a few podcasts I've listened to. Like there is Xena Business, the host, is a big fan of Yuri, and she actually like drops in the theme song as like a sound drop every once in a while.
Get through the whole episode without doing that.
Yeah.
Oh
We were trying to like basically in the past week, Brad and I have been singing "We Were Born to Make History," but changing the words sometimes based on what we're doing, sometimes completely randomly, just like "We were born to make chicken wings," "We were born to wear denim jeans," just dumb shit. Like,
whenever that song plays, do you not feel your heart pound? Like, does it
so
not
great.
light something up inside of you?
So we have these like wood laminate floors in the living room, and I started like skating around during the theme song and like trying to replicate what they were doing.
God.
That's so pure.
I was wondering, were you upset that it wasn't super explicit?
yes.
Yeah, they could have been more clear.
I mean, I just don't think it should be treated any differently than it would if it was a heterosexual romance, if they're intending for it to be a romance. And it seems like they are, and they're just, like, worried about, like, censorship and stuff, so they're just not doing it.
That's what's weird, because there's so many more exploitative
That's what
yaoi shonen that comes out of Japan. So I think it was I think that's why the gay community, I think that's why it's considered more respectful.
I don't want it to be more like, steamy. I mean, it couldn't have got that much more steamy, because you already see, like, a lot of butts. But I think what I just wanted is it being more text and less subtext. And I think you can have it be a little bit more text and a little bit less subtext without it being like sleazy or exploitative.
Although I kind of find it interesting that it's doing that, because one of the things that I find enjoyable about it is how shaky Yuri Katsuki is about a lot of things, and how kind of not sure about who he is. And, like, maybe he doesn't know that, like, how serious this is with Victor. It's like he doesn't know that Victor has feelings half the time.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting.
For me, and it could be an issue of the translation, it struck me as being more, the show was, like, a little bit tonally confused or inconsistent, or there was, like, a hard line that is keeping things in subtext, and you have to do all the inferences, and it's not so much purposefully ambiguous, because I think then that if you do that, it would be a bit more of like Yuri being like, oh, I kind of like him, but does he like me? I can't tell. That kind of, you know what I mean? Like, and make that the story, but they don't do that explicitly, so.
Honestly, I've seen and read so many like shonen stuff that like where that is just explicitly said, and it's like made to be a big deal. Like the point of it is to have that like, oh, will they, won't they about it.
Do you think this was more interesting?
I think it felt more just respectful. It's like, it's kind of like if you take a step back, it's like obvious they like each other, and the show doesn't even need to make a spectacle of it.
Maybe, I suppose.
I want both of those things, but I really like how they're handling so many other things about that relationship.
Apart from the kind of like occasional pushiness and slight predatory stuff that Victor does every once in a while a little bit, or no?
Like, with who? With Yuri or with anyone?
With Yuri, like towards the beginning, he's like very forward and like...
Yeah, personal space does not exist with that man.
Yeah, like Yuri never gives him any signs that he's into him, and he like never gives him any like positive feedback, but like Victor's like very pushy.
Although we do have to remember that Yuri was pretty on Victor at the banquet last year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was obviously drunk though.
Oh my God. I'm so happy we did this because I have not been reading fanfic lately. Well, I read a little bit of Mad Men fanfic and that was nice. But I decided to see how much Yuri on Ice fanfic there are, and there's like 2,000 fanfics. Now, obviously the 10% rule applies, so only like 200 of those are going to be good, but
yeah,
or whatever. However many 10% is.
That's that. You did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Basic math.
Does anybody have any Blades of Glory feels?
Oh, I was just about to get to that because before Dan gets back, can I just say that the only person I really liked in Blades of Glory was Will Arnett because he is such a fantastic comedian. He is too good for that movie.
Yeah. Craig T. Nelson was funny, but he's a weirdo.
Today I was rewatching the ice skating scenes, and I think my favorite moment in the whole movie is in the fire and ice thing after Jimmy gets flung into the wall. And you see Chazz like skates up to him and holds out his hand. And he's like, oh, I've never fallen in college before. He's like, it's okay, cool. He's like, take my hand. And then he like picks him up. And then like the rest of the time, or like for like most of it at least, there's like a little bit less, there's like 10% less gay panic. And that's like the bad thing about that movie is it's like, it's a joke. Like, haha, two men touching each other is inherently funny. But like there are moments in there where it's played more straight, pun not intended, by which I mean just like, oh, it's about two people who are learning to be friends and be close and help each other and support each other. And the parts where it was done like unironically without the wink, I thought was like genuinely good every once in a while. But like, I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I decided to see how many Blades of Glory fanfic there are, and there are 68. And a surprising number of them are in German.
Write one!
Right?
Do you know why?
No, I don't want it. What do you want me to write?
Because then it'll be 69. What are you doing?
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. You're right. What a fool I am. But I don't want to write like a half-hearted 69, you know? Like, I want 69 to really, really get there.
I feel like if you're wearing ice skates, you got to be extra careful with the 69 position.
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
Fair.
That like a new level of challenge and fear involved in that. You're like, if anybody gets the least excited and moves a leg, one of us could die.
So, hey guys.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah, this was unexpectedly and unusually difficult for me to figure out. First of all, I had to throw the points thing entirely out the window, because it's clear to me that there are two completely different sets of judges watching each of these skaters in their respective franchises. Whoever is scoring the people in Yuri on Ice would throw out the people from Blades of Glory for all of the illegal moves they were doing, but like, obviously they're just kind of from different worlds, so I couldn't take the scoring into consideration because it's apples and oranges. The psychological angle I thought was very interesting because I thought that Team Yuri did a very good job of proving that as a whole, Team Blades is a lot less ambitious, you know. Chazz is much more complacent with his role on top of the mountain, regardless of how eager for glory Jimmy is. But at the same time, I also think that Team Blades did a good job of proving that both of the Yuris are constantly anxious and full of self-doubt, and when we see them screw up, it's in those moments. And I think that in the end, what decided it for me is just the fact that even when there's no other external opposition, the Yuris often get in their own way, whereas it takes a cheater to trip up Blades of Glory. And I don't think the Yuris are going to cheat, so I have to give this one to Blades of Glory.
Yeah. Whoa, wow.
And it hurts me to say it because Yuri on Ice is significantly better.
It's so much better.
You are totally
it's so
right.
much better.
There's not just like better to watch, but better to exist in the world for all sorts of political reasons.
More deserving of life.
More respectful of skating as a sport.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So by any other measure, Yuri on Ice wins. In this specific instance,
I am categorically not endorsing.
Yes.
This is.
But extremely well done on both sides. This is a very difficult decision for me to come to.
Oh, man. I mean, it hurts, but I get it was a very weird movie to see and go, yeah, that is. They do fly for some reason.
In my opinion, the last few minutes of the movie take place entirely in action figure land. Like, when they start flying, that was when Nick Swardson was playing with them.
Is it kind of like the end of Brazil?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had a theory that it was that it was all Chazz's dream, like after he'd been in the ice and he was in a coma.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty. I can see that happening.
I think him breaking out of the ice with the ice skate is maybe the first moment in the movie where you're like, okay, now it's starting to become kind of a cartoon.
Kid, I'm so sorry. I know this hurts. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't let me down. Dan did. Dan, give me back my
Oh,
earrings.
wow. Oh,
We're
no.
fucking divorced now.
Oh, wow. Dan, I'm so sorry.
Well, these things happen. We all knew it would come to this.
Well, Kit, I'm sure like in the next
Don't
like week
even
or
talk
so
to me.
before the next one, you can get like depressed and then gain a whole bunch of weight, and then Dan will whip you into shape and you'll work it all off, and then you'll kick our butts, right?
That is the natural pattern of these things. Oh my God. I love Victor so much, by the way, so much.
It's time for the Kit Thanks. By the way, I just want to say I'm single, so ladies and gentlemen, holla. All right, so over to Twitter. Thank you to Rosalind Scott, Rafael Medina, Mike Booch, Cynical Realist, Matias Tautimes, Hayden Whom Time Forgot, Florian, Jeffrey Ketchum, Cosplay Fiend, Bradford Bultman.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
Jake the Fake Irish Wristwatch.
Oh, he's messing with you now.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yo, I fucking stuck that landing.
Yeah, you
though.
did.
Sharon Schneiderman, by the way, also kind of a tongue twister.
Yep.
There you go,
6
Sharon.
points on both of those landings. Well done.
Bitch, that was like 15.
Oh, wow.
She had her arm raised.
Some
And this is in the last half of the episode.
goddamn quad axle bullshit right there. The Gameable podcast, Vander Turner, and the You, Me, and Duffy podcast, which, by the way, just told us that they are doing a little thing in March called March Nerdness. It's going to be kind of a bracket geek character debate thing centered around comic book characters, but I'm excited to hear it. They said it's based off of our kind of setup, so
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll see
yeah?
how that goes. I'm interested to hear.
good luck, guys. This shit's hard.
Oh, God.
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah.
And over to Tumblr, thank you to Jeep Rhyme, Creepy David Bowie, Sunhawks, and Sid Rabbitblog. And on Facebook, thank you to Robert Ramsey and Viola Sanderlin.
And we also wanted to thank Vladimir Duran, who was, of course, our featured patron this week and was turned into a spacefaring ice sculptor on a grand scale.
That was so great.
If you too would like to be transformed into a spacefaring ice sculptor or similar ridiculous character in our storyline, you can head on over to Patreon and donate as little as $1 each month. These and many other rewards await you. And we also wanted to thank Brad for coming on the show yet again and knocking it out of the park as you always do, sir. Well done.
Brad, you're so great.
Thank you.
And thank you also to Cosplay Fiend, the fan who suggested this very match, and so many other good matches that we will get to at some point, I'm sure.
Josephine, I don't even want to hear it. It's all Dan. Tweet at Dan.
Although, send me all of your Yuri feels.
Thank you, Cosplay Fiend, for making us watch Yuri on Ice.
Oh, God, thank you so much.
So good.
And you're welcome for destroying your dreams.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Smash Fiction. Next week we have the 26th episode of Extraordinary League, and then, because I'm sure that there are some of you out there who kind of miss when we talk about people fighting each other, come back again the week after that for Kitana from Mortal Kombat versus Morrigan Ainsland from Darkstalkers versus Ivy Valentine from Soul Calibur. Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Schneiderman, with logo design by Claire Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
On top of that, Kit, how'd you get this banana into my mouth? What happened? What kind of psychic banana shit is this?
We are one now on the ice.
Oh god, it tastes like banana. No, I just don't like bananas. They're slimy dick fruit.
Oh, you
Have the
do?
end of it.
Oh, man. I love slimy
You can have
dick
all the
fruit.
bananas for me.
I will.
You'll save me from bananas by eating them.
Guys.
Okay, sorry.
What is this? I just looked down at it.
Shut up, it's beautiful.